All right. It starts someplace pretty solemn, actually. One of the most solemn, sacred responsibilities of government is taking care of veterans. A part of our bargain with people who fight for this country is that when they come home, we take responsibility for their care, including their long-term care when they get older. We do not leave veterans out to fend for themselves in their old age in this country. We do not abandon veterans in this country. And keeping up our end of that bargain does work differently in different states, but it's something that we have always done. It's a commitment that we all share. So take, for example, this veterans home. This veterans home was opened not long after the Civil War. Since the 1800s, this facility, in one way or another, has been a home for veterans who needed a place to live as they got older. Some veterans just needed a little extra care as they joined the ranks of older senior citizens. Some of them needed more intensive care, whether it was for the physical frailties of age or the unforgiving grip of dementia. At any given time, 400 or 500 former soldiers and sailors and airmen and Marines lived in that state home. For those veterans, that home was where they lived, central to their lives. But then a few years ago, that state got a new governor, and the new governor found a way that he thought he could save $4 million a year from that veterans home. $4 million savings. He figured out a way to get that out of how the state had been spending money to take care of those elderly veterans. He decided he would get rid of the state workers who'd been taking care of the elderly veterans, and instead he would outsource their jobs to a private company. And as you might imagine, the workers were upset. So were the veterans who depended on those workers. A veteran of the Korean War who lived at that state home told the local press at the time, quote, "For the life of me, I can't see them getting rid of the caretakers they've got there now. They know each and every person that's up there." Another veteran, a Vietnam War vet, said the caretakers they had were, quote, "like family. They're the ones who see us first and tell the nurses and doctors something's not quite right with Tony, something's not quite right with Jack. They go to our funerals. They're not paid to do that. They bring us Christmas presents." The private company people aren't going to do that. Turns out that Vietnam vet knew what he was talking about. And he ultimately sued to try to turn back this privatization scheme. And his case included stories that make you want to tear your hair out, or at least donate to your favorite veterans group. The case included stories of the private company workers dropping an elderly veteran while they were trying to lift him. They broke his neck. Private company workers insisting on feeding one elderly veteran solid food when his doctor said not to. They literally pulled the feeding tube out of his stomach. So the veterans sued to try to turn back the privatization, but the governor had his plan, and the court said the plan could go ahead. And you want to know how that worked out? Yeah. The state auditor recently looked into how the governor's plan was working out for all those elderly veterans at the state home. They found under the governor's brilliant new plan, the veterans home was understaffed 81% of the time. 81%. They found the elderly vets were not getting their medications properly. They found staff were failing to even check in on residents to make sure they hadn't wandered off into the streets. They found that when the veterans started complaining that they were being neglected or even abused, no one tracked those complaints or investigated them like they should have been. That's what the state got when this new governor came in with his new ideas about this better way to run things. Privatize stuff. It'll be much cheaper. It'll work great. Forget the way you've been doing it since the 1800s. This will be great. Shut up, veterans. This will be great. And when it turned out to not work out great, obviously no fault of the governor, just collect somebody else's scalp. After the state auditor confirmed what veterans had been warning about and suing about and screaming about, the governor did accept the resignation of the member of his cabinet who ran veterans issues for him. So that's one. That's Exhibit A.